In this video, I'm going to show you how to process image files in n8n, whether you have a URL or you have a file for download, say in a Google Drive or in a OneDrive folder that you would like to process in one of your workflows. All right, and so I'm going to show you kind of 3 different ways to do this here. And the first one is, let's say you have your file in a Google Drive or in a OneDrive or some other file system that you use through n8n. So here I just have a Google Drive trigger, and I'm just pulling an image from a folder. And in this case, I have a folder just called Images for Test, and I have a picture here of me. There we go. Okay, and so since that's there, all we have, like I said, it's just a Google Drive. It's going to search the folder. When we click the button, it's going to find the file. And let's go ahead and click it, and and there we go. So it found my file, and there it is. And it's me. That's interesting. All right, and we got an ID number. Here it is. Copy of Brad standing tall, no background 1. Copy of Brad standing, no background tall. Perfect. Okay, so once we have our file, at least it sees the file. That's the important part. It's not yet in the system. We can't actually do anything with it because it just has an ID number, more or less. It knows there's a file there. So the first thing that we can do is we can use a Google Drive download file node. And again, if you're using like OneDrive, you can use the OneDrive node to do so. So we just come in here, and it's just a file as the resource, operation download. And what it's going to ask you for is an ID. All right, and so in order to get the ID, either you can do JSON.id if it's from the node before, or we just come down here, just close all these guys, close all these guys down here, way down here, past permissions, past spaces, and we see this one called ID. We're just going to erase this, and we grab that, drag it over, and then go ahead and let's test. And we have now downloaded my picture. My picture is now in n8n. Now, when you get to this point, it might be tempting to just go ahead and use the picture and start processing it, maybe run it through an OpenAI image analysis model, or sending an email attachment, or doing something else with the picture. I'm going to caution you here to really take a look at the size of the image. And this one's not particularly too big. It's 872 kilobytes. But some pictures can be many, many megabytes. And a lot of megabytes means a lot of tokens. And so you really have to consider the cost of what it's going to take in order to process the image. So almost any time I download an image, if I'm not going to be uploading that image, say as an attachment or onto a website or anything like that, I will always use an edit image node and use the resize operation in order to shrink it down for further processing, just so it's a smaller file. And usually I'll use the option of %. So you have different, you have maximum area, minimum area, only larger, only smaller. But I'll go with %. And 50%, 40% for both height and width is usually good. Your property name is data, so long as the file coming in is called data. You see it there, and so I just call that data. We'll go ahead and test that step as well. And it shrinks it down, and my file becomes 203 kilobytes. So it's much smaller. If this had been several megabytes in size, it would have dropped it down most likely below a megabyte. And so then we can use that image that we've downloaded, say in an image analysis node with an OpenAI node. So you just connect your credentials. You're going to do an analyze image operation. You can do something like 4.0 mini. You can do 4.0 if you want. 4.0 mini does pretty well. The text input is basically what is your command to the model? What is it you want it to do? And since we have a downloaded image rather than, say, a URL, we have our input type as binary file, and our input data field is data right there. All right, and we just click test, and it's going to run for a second. It's going to take a look at the picture. And here we go. The image shows a person dressed in formal attire wearing a white dress shirt and a black tie with arms crossed. The individual appears serious and is set against a plain background. So wonderful. Now, if I wanted to have downloaded that image to be able to process it, so as an example, say that I needed to create a product description. So I can upload my product image, I can download it. All right, I download my image, I resize it so it's not too big, I run it through this, and then I can use the description that this model makes in further processing down in the workflow. So that's one option that you can do. All right, let's go ahead and break that one. Let's just go ahead and deactivate that one because I want to show you another option. So say that you don't have the image yourself. Maybe it's not in your drive, maybe it's not in your database anywhere, it's online. So in that case, if you have an image from the internet that you want to pull and download, whether that's because maybe you downloaded your Google Merchant Center product list and it only gives you the image URL, we would use an HTTP node. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is just a click trigger. Basically, as soon as I click this button down here, it's going to run. I can, in fact, I just click it and we'll move on. All right, and here we have a URL for an image. And in this case, I just grabbed a picture off of the internet. All right, you don't have any authentication. You don't have any query parameters. You do want to set an option of response. And you just come over down here to add option and you click response. And then you're going to set your response format to file. All right, and then the output will be data. Let's go ahead and click test step. And there is our image. And you'll see the size is 2.46 megabytes. It's actually a GIF image. It's not even a real image. So, or a JPEG or a PNG. So you can download pretty much any type of image you want. Let's see if we can't find a different one that's not a, okay, that might work. Let's try this one. And we'll test again. And there's a JPEG, 2.52 kilobytes, very nice. And say we wanted to do something with this image that we've just downloaded. So say we need an image attachment for an email. So we come here to our Gmail node, you set it all up, you make sure you have your to and your subject line and your message and all that. What you would do is come down to options, and you're gonna click attachments. All right, and for attachments here, what we're doing is data. Or we're doing a data download just as we did when we did the Google Drive, and we just did it with the HTTP node. And so we just do the attachment field node of data. We'll test the step. And it says that it's sent. And if you give me just a moment. All right, and here we are in my email and image test, test image or image test. Boom, there's a picture. There's an attachment. It's exactly what I just did. So that is how else you can manage images. So you can add them as attachments. In this case, it does have to be a downloaded image. And I say that because you don't have to download the image necessarily to process it every single time. So up here in our OpenAI node where we were analyzing the image, we had our input type as a binary field. Well, you don't have to. You can also, here, let's break this real quick. Come this down here. We have an OpenAI analyze image node here as well. And here, I'm just going to do a URL image. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to have it analyze an image based on the URL directly. And this URL can either be hard-coded in, or you can make it an expression that came from some prior node somewhere else. But either way, you'll notice that basically it's just an analyze node, and it's not attached to basically anything else. So as you can see, it's set to image URL. We have my URL of my mug over here again. And it's not attached to anything else. Like this is just a click trigger. You can either hard code it in as a URL just like that, or you can create an expression where it's pulling the URL from somewhere else, maybe a Google Sheet that you've been working out of. But either way, we just test it and give it a second to come back. And there, the image of a plain white mug with a cylindrical shape. It has a handle on one side and is shown against a transparent background. It appears to be empty. So you don't have to run it through as a download first. You don't have to necessarily process it first in order to have an AI model review it for you. Just be aware that the size of the image may become an issue at that point if you're just directly pulling it. Now, alternatively, if you're downloading it, then you're also making extra calls to Google. You have to be aware of your rate limits. So there's a couple different ways to do the images. It's not particularly complicated, just a few tips and tricks. I really make sure I want to point out the edit image one, because this one has saved me a few times. I've had a few 20 megabyte pictures that I was like ready to send through and analyze, and that would have been a lot of tokens, and it would have cost me a decent amount of money to have to run. So I always make sure I run it through this resize edit image node first. That way I'm saving my money while working on my nodes. All right, and that's about it. That's largely how you deal with images in n8n. Either you download them and then process them, or you just directly come from the URL, and there's different paths to be able to do it. So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Please like and share the video as well so that it helps get this content out to those who need it. Also, if you want additional tips and tricks, and as well as over 25 different n8n workflows for free, please feel free to join my free school community with the link down below. I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.